let's talk about one more kind of pragmatic thing. Maybe you've got a vision, but how big is the market really? And I'm just going to teach you a little bit about market research. Like, in another video, and I'll probably say this a lot because I really care about it a lot, about the chronic illness industry and how to solve that. And it's a multi-dimensional problem, because we're putting toxins into our food, and the word is kind of getting out at a bigger scale. So there's more and more people are aware. That's a beginning. That's like sowing the seeds or building the tracks for a market in transforming agriculture in a good way, right? We want to come back to widely distributed, organic, healthy, safe food at the very minimum. And then, I don't want to get too much into techniques of healing various illnesses, but, first, like, let's have some good inputs, and then there's more from there to go. But okay, so my point is, how big is that field? Well, Google. You start looking at, I literally crafted a whole book about the plant-based economy. I designed the book. The basic work was done by a member of the staff I had in my last business, which I raised over $250,000. Didn't really have I didn't feel good about raising more. It just seemed like there was something missing, and what I'm doing now filled in the missing link of that whole enterprise. So that was a bust in a way, but I learned. Again, I had a good 5 years of different kinds of experiments and failures that you can benefit from. So we did all kinds of research, and we began it's not so hard when you're looking at Google to kind of break down the economy that you're going to play in. So even the inventors of Bitcoin, they had a sense of how big the money supply was. Bitcoin is a competitor to other currencies and other asset classes. This stuff is easy to find on Google. Like, if you just want to Google, like, how big is the global stock market? There's data there. So really anything. So what I want you to do at this point is look at your vision, look at your idea before you really spend too much time crafting it. And how big is that market opportunity? Like I said, how many people are type 2 diabetics? 400 million or more. That takes about 30 seconds to discover how big is the overall market opportunity. And I had a friend who worked at Microsoft. I think he was the number 900 hire. So, he spent some time with Bill Gates. He told me a little bit about how things worked. He did okay. And, he said Gates, he would never, Microsoft was already a big company by the time he even joined it, but they would never even pursue a market opportunity that was not at least a $2 billion annual market. Now, again, this is a long time ago. These days, probably that's too small. Or if you look at a group like Goldman Sachs, which is an investment fund management company, they manage a lot of the pensions in the United States and probably around the world. Well, they won't take on a client unless that client is going to let them manage $2 billion. So now you can begin to get a sense of the kind of scale, the kind of, the idea of billionaire basics, you could say. It's like, if the market is too small, it's going to be really hard to get in there and make a big enough difference. But, these days, there's a huge market of destroyed land from grazing. Like, cattle grazing is like one of the world's most serious ecological disasters. And the thing that happens is people buy the land, they clear cut the forests, the cows just graze until there's nothing left. And then you've got a bunch of depleted land that's kind of worthless. So this is not only a huge market of ruined land, but it's also asymmetric, because land that can't grow anything without some effort, it's just going to have a really low valuation. And if those lands can be restored to like food forests and or kind of nominal logging. There's a lot, and when I say nominal, I really mean like enough to pay the taxes. And these days there's things like climate credits. There's like so many ways to make money restoring lands. And I know of private funds that exist doing this. We haven't really gotten the public involved yet. But I'm just saying that's an example in my niche of like somebody wants to restore basically spent lands, and then there's even more lands because of all the soy and whatnot that they grow with monocultures and glyphosate. I mean, we've just got millions of acres in the world of basically depleted soils, and these things are, well, they're really ecological opportunities. So in the economy that I envision, where things are actually healthy, right? The inputs, that's going to be coming from soil, land, and water. There's just trillions of dollars of opportunities. And because these things have been so ruined, it's not that hard to get access and to add that to your base of assets, right? Let's say you could accumulate $100 million worth of depleted land, and then over a 5-year period, restore that land to some kind of economic value. Maybe the value of that land goes up tenfold. Now you're a billionaire. And how do you raise $100 million? I mean, these days, in the United States, anyone in the general public can raise $75 million just from the public. That it takes knowing what you're doing, but it's not as hard. When I started this out, you had to have, millions and millions of dollars just to raise a small investment fund. Now, the steps are so much clearer. You never have to really take that much risk. So, what's the main point of this thing? Market research, like you've got your vision. We want to be able to talk about the market, right? If you're saying, well, I want to solve this problem. I've got some friends right here who are working on it. They want to build an organic farm. And it turns out there's just a lot of land, former farmland. It's still, hasn't turned back into forests or anything. It's just that there's a lot of market imbalances. So people who used to make money as farmers aren't really doing that. And the thing is that organic food still throughout the world is a premium value. And if they can make this one farm go from scratch, because they don't even know really anything about how to raise money or manage other people's money. But we're working on that. And the thing is, if we can get one model working, there's just unlimited amount of land to help imagine anybody that wants to have their own organic farm, that we've got kind of the template, they're funded and they get to work. Now we're taking millions of acres out of the toxic poison, quote, food economy. Again, most of that food is just for livestock. But there's really like an unlimited opportunity. If you can solve a problem at a small scale, and then that thing can be replicated, that's another path to becoming a billionaire, while doing something really good that you actually can be really proud of, and a legacy for your whole life and the whole world. And that's why am I doing this? Because that's I like thinking about those things. I love to see the people who are doing it. Again, things like plastics. You could look up, you go to Google, what's the total economy of plastic? I haven't looked it up. It's got to be probably a few trillion a year. And you want to get in there and you want to create, plant-based plastic, or you want to create a new regime for managing, we have to be kind of honest. I mean, in a way, plastic solved a problem a while ago. You can hear I'm a little, not, I don't want to give them too much credit, but before plastic, things like Coca-Cola came in glass bottles. Glass is heavy. So that meant that they used a lot of gasoline moving their bottles around. Now, do we even need Coke at all? No. I mean, what I'd rather have is clean water running right past my house so I can just dip a cup in and drink it without worrying about it. That's my vision. I want to work on people that like where we treat our water supply like it's sacred, like the Native Americans who I've met, they drank from their rivers because they kept their watersheds sacred, the Taos Pueblo. So how do we create a sacred economy? Like where water is sacred. If water was really sacred, imagine how much money would go into cleaning up the mess we have, as well as all the kind of monitoring devices. And just there's so much opportunity when we change the mindset of our waterway as a toilet to our waterway is sacred. And so you can see that's a multi-trillion-dollar opportunity, just this re-sacredization of water and air as well. So what's the market for water? I don't know, Google it, you know what I'm saying? So look at your vision. Who do you want to serve? What's their problem? And you can measure, right, if chronic illness, $7.5 trillion global industry. All right, now you've got, how big is your niche? How big is your opportunity? What's your strategy? What I would like to do is create, dedicated diet therapy centers for type 2 diabetes, staffed with a couple doctors. Each one of those centers can reach millions of people just with their advertising, just with their marketing, and educate. And so the more that we're educating, like most people don't know, I didn't know. Fortunately, I never had that particular ailment, but in today's era, most people still don't realize that type 2 diabetes is caused by dietary choices. And the cultures that don't eat American style, standard American diet, don't have it. They don't. In fact, there's a whole raft of illnesses that people don't have if they don't eat the way Americans and most Westerners eat. And when they change their diets, all those diseases start ticking up. So what do we need? We need a kind of mass education, but we also need a place where they can go and safely transition away from how they were eating and make it safe. Because, when I say safe, socially safe to eat in a healthy way right now, in a lot of places, if you're not eating the food that's giving you a disease, people are going to look at you funny, ridicule you, things like that. And yet, the information is beginning to creep in. We're seeing, world famous athletes like Novak, the tennis player. He's a vegan. He doesn't eat animal foods, and he's the top performer. He's not leading courses on how to do, he doesn't want other people to know because it's one of his secret advantages. Like the people who get what he's doing realize it's like, this is one of the major reasons why he can win. And let's see, Kylie, what's his name? The big basketball player as well. Another, guy eating plant-based diet. One of the most famous, I can't remember his name. I'm sorry about that, but you know what I'm talking about. His first name was like Kyrie. And I do these videos off the cuff, so I don't have like a big script, as you can probably tell. But if those guys are getting results doing what I'm saying, and yet these 400 million people, probably only not even 1% are even aware that their disease can be reversed in literally a matter of a week or two with dietary changes. So what if we had a global network of these kind of clinics staffed by MDs? Because a lot of times people who are on these unhealthy diets, they're taking a lot of meds. You can't just the pharmaceutical industry has designed those meds in a way that you can't just stop. It's dangerous to just pull back. So you need an MD who cares, and there's thousands of them now who understand, the plant-based diet therapy and how to reverse these diseases and so many more. They just don't know how to run a business. They don't, they got day jobs just like you. Or maybe you did. And, and I've worked with some of these people. It's very difficult because they didn't learn anything about how to do their vision. So they're very, And when you're making a lot of money, showing up, even you don't like your job, but you've got a big house, the cars, the family, and you're this breadwinner. And now you say, well, I want to start a plant-based clinic. And it's like, that's dangerous, right? How do we get them from where they are to being able to really fully express themselves as doctors? And that's, but again, you can see this is a $1 trillion opportunity. I'm kind of, hopefully I don't over pitch it, because it's just, I'm just looking for people that want to lead on the design and the development of these, these clinics, basically. Combination of clinics and advertising will allow us to massively educate these 400 million people. Not only just educate them and say, well, now you're on your own, but then we're giving them the medical resources that they need. I used to live in Columbus, Ohio. And so Ohio is a 12 million population, and there's a lot of type 2 diabetics in Ohio. I mean, you can just tell walking down the street. And one clinic, so Columbus is in the center. It's also, it's really a nexus, a lot of, product distribution is headquartered there because it's so central. It's such a central location on the, like, half of the United States population is within a one-day drive. And it's in the very center of the state. So just one clinic, anybody can get from any part of Ohio to Columbus in like maybe 3 hours or 4. And that one clinic could be bathing these 12 million people with marketing, teaching them how to reverse their diabetes. And if you want to come in and get help at the clinic. So it's a very simple business model with a, pretty much almost the whole 7.5 trillion and somehow is tied into what we're teaching, what we would be doing in these clinics. So, but I don't want to focus personally, just so you know, my goal is to get people who want to take on that part of this whole peace-based economy. That's a big part, huge opportunity. Just, I'm waiting to find some people who can hear what I'm saying and want to get started, and then get yourself funded to do that. And then let's go. Like, everything's in place for this to work. It's just, we need leaders. That's why I'm a mentor for leaders. All right. That's a pretty good, another kind of long video, really about looking at your market. Use Google. It's the easiest thing in the world to figure out what's the annual revenue of your market opportunity. All right, talk to you later.